Hey guys, welcome to video number 14 in my Python tutorial. In this video we're going to go deeper into how to work with strings and some of the methods we can use to handle them. Let's start with the slice function, okay? This one allows us to, within a list or a string, to select which of these elements we're going to use. The basic structure of the slice function is this. Slice, and then the start point, then the stop point, and then a step. So to this function we have to give it an index that we want to use, then the steps to move in, and between those two the last number that we are to consider. So this function will return the index of the group of those elements to be considered. Say we have a list of foods called food, and we have these words within it: lasagna, pizza, risotto, and carpaccio. As you can see, I quite like Italian food. Well, anyway, so for this list of strings, we could use the slice function to, for example, print in the console only the words pizza and carpaccio. So we could define a variable x that stores the value that the function returns, that starts at 1 and ends at 4 with steps of 2. This way, we make sure that it'll consider the two words we want it to. Because pizza is in index 1 in the list, let's remember lasagna is 0, and carpaccio is element number 3. To print them, we should have a print function with the name of the list, in this case food, and within square brackets the variable x that contains the result of the slice function. So this way, if we run the code, we'll see that it prints the value of the variables we wanted. We can get rid of variable x if we incorporate the slice function within our print function this way. The slice function can also be replaced by a colon, used this way. If we run the code, we'll see that it works the same way. This last procedure is one of the most used ones to work with lists and with strings. For example, if we add the string crate and we want to only print the characters that form rat within that word, we could write the following. We will first define the string with word equals crate, and then we print the part that we're interested in. So print word, and then within square brackets 1, 4, 1. This way what we're doing is printing the character starting from index 1, second character because it starts with 0, the indexing that is, and then we would place the index, then we would have, the following index to the one we want to have as our last character. In this case, we want the last letter to be the T, that is on index 3, so that's why we write 4, and then we move in steps of 1 character. If we run the code, we'll see that we print the selected characters. Another very useful function is the len function. This one is pretty simple but quite useful. This one returns the size of a list or string that we input as the function's parameter. In this case, the list will return the number of elements we have, and in case we choose a string as a parameter, it will return the number of letters that make up that word. For example, we could use word equals afterglow. So now we can print the value of the len function with print len word. We'll see that when we run the code, the function returns the number of letters in the word, in this case 9. Now let's look at some useful methods to handle strings. Like we explained before, methods in lists are used with the name of the string, and then a dot, and then the name of the method we want to use. parenthesis, and then whatever arguments the method needs, if it is that it needs any. It's important to note that none of the methods to handle strings will modify a string's value. They, in most cases, will return the modified string for us to do with it whatever we want, or like any data nearby the string to use it within another variable. So let's look at the method capitalize. This method converts the first letter of a string to uppercase. So for example, if we store the variable, if we store the value snowballs in variable x, then with the method capitalize, we could define a new variable and store the modified value of x. So it would be y equals x dot capitalize. Then we have to print the variable with a print function and run the code. And as we expected, we can see that the written word now begins with uppercase. The count function returns the number of times that the string we place as parameter of the function is present within the string over which we are running the method. So for example, if we define that x is equal to puppy, so then if we use the method count to count the number of times we have the letter p within that string, what we should do is y is equal to x dot count p. So this way, if we print the variable's value, we'll see that we get the number 3 printed, corresponding with the number of p's in the word puppy. If we change the letter to the string pi, then it will return the value 1, because within the string puppy, we only have the string pi once. This method is also available for lists, so this way we'll know how many times we have an element within a list. The second method we're going to look at today is the method find. This one is tasked with searching for the string that we pose as an argument within the string over which we're running the method. And if it finds it, then it returns the index of the first instance of that element. And if it doesn't find it, it returns -1. For example, for the previous word, x equals puppy, if we run the method on it, we'll write y is equal to x dot find p. If we print the value of y and run the code, we'll see that the result is 0, because the first instance inside the word puppy of the letter p is in position 0. So if we change the letter p to letter u, for example, the program returns 1, because the first instance of the letter u is on index 1 of our string. If instead we write the letter m, then because puppy doesn't have that letter, the function will return -1. If we run the code, we'll see that that's the case. Find also works with lists, so we can use this method to know an element's position within a list. There's also a quite similar method to find that's called index. This one works similarly, the only difference being that if the substring isn't found, then index throws an exception, whereas find returns -1. The third method we're going to look at, or better yet, the third methods we're going to look at, are is lower and is upper. These methods allow us to know whether the characters within a string are lower or upper, respectively. These methods allow us to know whether all characters within a string are lowercase or uppercase, respectively. To make use of these methods, we can, for example, define 3 words. X is equal to puppy, all lowercase, then y is equal to puppy, all uppercase, then z is equal to puppy, with only the first letter in uppercase. So now if we apply the methods to each one and print them, we'll see the following. Let's start with the isUpper method. So then we write print x isUpper, then print y isUpper, then print z isUpper. If we run the code, we'll see that it's only true in the case where every letter in the word puppy is uppercase. So if we now change the method and use isLower, we'll see that the same thing happens, only in the case where all characters in the string are lowercase, and then it returns true. If not, it returns false, letting us know that there's at least one uppercase letter. The following methods we'll look at are closely related to these. It's the lower and upper methods. These ones return a string where all characters of the original, with all the characters of the original string, but all lowercase or uppercase respectively. For example, for the variable z, if we use the method lower when we print it, we'll see that we get the word printed without any uppercase letters. So print z dot lower. And something similar happens with upper, as we can see. And something similar happens with upper, as we can see in the next example. We print z dot upper. Let's now look at the method isDigit. This one returns true if it's containing only digits from 0 to 9, meaning if the string represents a numeric value without letters or different characters than digits 0 to 9, then the method isDigit will return true. For example, for the string x is equal to, enclosed with single quotes, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can print the method's result as we've been doing by writing print x dot isDigit. And then if we run the code, we'll see that the result is true. If, on the other hand, the string were 1, 2, 3, 4, z, then the method would return false because there is a character in there that isn't a digit from 0 to 9. And lastly, we'll look at the split method. This one allows us to split, as you'd expect, a string into various other strings according to the occurrence of a character that we'll define for it, as a parameter of the function, I mean. We can also use as an argument of the function the maximum number of cuts or splices that we are to perform over the string. This could be useful, for example, to split a string only once with the first instance of the character. But this is optional, and if you don't specify a max number of cuts, then Python will consider that to be infinite. Let's look at the following example. Let's say I have the string x is equal to banana, lemon, kiwi, and blueberry. Then we could use the split method to separate this string into the words that are part of it this way. We'll define a variable called split and equal it to x dot split, and then a semicolon. So this way, if we print the split variable's value in the console and run the code, we'll see that it returns each of the words in the list separated. If we only wanted to separate the word banana from the rest of the words, we could add to the split method the corresponding argument for max number of cuts to perform. In this case, because we only wanted to separate the word banana from the rest, it would only be one cut in the first instance of that character, of the semicolon, that is. So we have to add to the function the argument 1 as max number of cuts. If we run the code now, we'll see that it'll only separate the word banana from the rest, and store the list with these two strings in the variable split. And that's it for today. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and code up!